What's going on? It's the Racing Motocross Podcast presented by Throttle Burst. This is John Short, your host. This is our two-time guest, Ryder Floyd. And we're here, just got through practicing today out here in Pilot Point, Texas. Beautiful day before we go to Indianapolis. And so me and Ryder, we're just going to catch you guys up on how things have been since we've met last. Since you've seen us last, Ryder's made his career first main event in Arlington, Texas. And he did it again this weekend in Alabama. And so he's got a good little streak running. And so, Ryder, how's it been over the last 2 weeks?
It's been good. Yeah, it's been good. You know, Dallas was the home race and was able to, make it out of the heat race. And so for me, like, it was a really big accomplishment, kind of considering the last couple of years and missing the series. And so to come in and at round two to make the main in Dallas is kind of some like weight off my shoulders, you know. It kind of showed myself that I belonged there, and so I ended up finishing 16th in the main, and so kind of got the first main out of the way. Was really cool, you know, being in Dallas, making the main, and and then this past weekend in Birmingham, I was able to make it happen out of the heat race again. There was some aggressive riding, and I was able to come out with the transfer spot, and so like for me, those are building blocks, making it out of the heat races. And then obviously I think the more mains I'm in, the more comfortable, and I think the more I'll continue to grow. I definitely at Birmingham, I ended up with a front flat, and so I was out there just trying to keep that sucker on two wheels. I was out there just doubling along, and I ended up finishing 18th, and so it was good. Yeah, building blocks for me, stepping in the right direction, making it out of the heat races, and like that for me is what I'm looking for, is just to continue to make the mains. And so to make them out of the heat race, that's kind of a little bit of a bonus, you know. Don't have to go to the LCQ. And so, and then also I watched you get on the Kawasaki the last 2 weeks, and you made it happen. So it's kind of like, since we were both on here, we've kind of been stepping forward a little bit.
Yeah, it's something, you know, this show brings a little magic out in everybody, I think, you know. You talk about what your goals are, and a little bit it kind of sparks your motivation. But so you mentioned it has a big weight off your shoulders, making your first main. Does that make you kind of want to take a break, kind of free up, or does it kind of motivate you to push a little harder and keep going? Like, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, it makes me feel like it definitely motivates me. During the week, I feel like just making the mains and coming home, I feel like it's kind of helped elevate me a little bit at the practice track. You know, I'm seeing super rough tracks for the first time, super torn up whoops. And that honestly in itself, I feel has made me a better rider, just, you know, being in the main events, racing the track that's super chewed up, super rough. And it's funny because I come back home and I was like, oh man, the practice track's rough, the whoops are beat up, you know, and now I'm like, man, the practice track, it ain't like the main event track. That main event track is nasty. It's they're super tough, and so I feel like it's motivating. It's helped kind of elevate me a little bit at the practice track. Definitely not trying to pull back at all. But, you know, I also, I want to be smart about what I'm doing, and I want to be at these races. That's like number one, be at the races. Don't be missing, because I only have 8 rounds of Supercross. So it's important for me to be at all these rounds. Obviously, injury and stuff like that, it's out of your control, but, I've just tried to be smart. And, making these mains has definitely, I feel, has helped elevate me a little bit at the practice track, without a doubt.
Yeah, definitely. That's cool. Interesting stuff for our viewers here. That's kind of something that after I go racing and then I come back, it makes me feel like, the practice doesn't really matter in terms of competition. It seems like when I come home during the week, I definitely am more like, I need to be better in these couple areas. It's not so much about, like, before the season, I feel like you're competing every day, and then when you go racing, you come home, you're like, that's not even important. Like, it kind of puts things into perspective.
It can kind of narrow your window of focus for sure. You can kind of
like Saturday is all that matters.
Yeah, Saturday is what matters, and then you can come home, and it definitely gives you things to work on, rather than like during the off season, it's kind of it's a battle every day. You're trying to be overall you're trying to be faster, trying to be better, trying to be stronger, and then but once you get these races going and stuff, like obviously you want to continue to build, but yeah, it really narrows the window of what you're focusing on, what you're really trying to work on. It definitely brings out your weaknesses, and those are tough to find at the practice track, you know, like for me, being this is my first year racing these Supercrosses, and so it's getting to the races and being at the races really allows you to see what your weaknesses are.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, we've got Indianapolis this weekend, right? You've raced Indy, not the Supercross, but the Futures. Mm-hmm. I've been to Indy. It's traditionally a softer, more rutted track. You know, what are you anticipating? I personally, I'm excited for it. I like the tracks that are, I guess, you've got to use the terrain and what's in front of you to get around them versus being West Coast kind of hard.
Yeah.
You know, where you can go anywhere, the pace is higher. But when there's ruts and everything, it's kind of smarter, more strategic, focus.
Yeah, no, I think this will be my first one on Saturday. I've done the Supercross Futures, and on the Sunday when they had it, and the track wasn't as rutted. But I do think the track being soft and rutted, I really think it'll play in my advantage a little bit. I think it won't necessarily slow the pace down a whole lot, but I think it'll bring out, you know, the guys who are going to be consistent, the guys who are going to be able to do the laps and tie everything together every lap. I feel like I can do that. I know I can do that, and that's something I think in the 250 class. You know, if you can hammer the laps and hit the rhythms and hit the whoops and not really miss anything, I feel like that takes you a lot further in the 250 class than the 450 class. You know?
Than a lap time. The lights class, there's definitely going to be a handful of younger riders that are going to make mistakes. So if you can just be that guy clicking laps, it's definitely going to push you up the leaderboard. I don't know how you are. I know for me, when I get to tracks, I tend to ride quicker when I have. When I can use the obstacles and the bumps and the ruts to help me get around the track. For me, those smooth tracks where you have to, I guess, generate speed around the track is harder for me. So
no, it'll be good. I mean, I think the ruts it'll kind of add an element, and I'm comfortable with the ruts and the rhythms and corners and stuff. I think for me this weekend, I'll really be putting a lot of focus just into my qualifying. It seems like I've kind of not necessarily struggled in qualifying this season, but I just haven't been turning it up in qualifying. I've found it seems like every weekend when the gate drops, I tend to go a lot faster than I did in qualifying. So that's something this weekend I'm really trying to focus on. I'll get to ride press on Friday, so I'm looking to kind of get to shake some things out, ride in the stadium. You know, obviously it's not qualifying, and sometimes they go in and change a few things, but for me this weekend is going to be the qualifying, going out and latching on to somebody that's really, really fast, but also pushing myself a little bit. You know, when the gate drops, I feel like
so
I'm hammering,
you're in A practice. So it's almost more valuable than riding during the week, getting to ride with those guys, because typically it's hard to not be around someone who's just a little faster, or so that's good. I was in A practice this last weekend, and it really elevated my whole weekend. Indy's a really cool area. They've got the Lime scooters. It's just like pretty much walk everywhere. It's pretty sweet. But no, we just finished up practice day out here. We're in Pilot Point, Texas. I don't know if you can see the track or not, but Floyd Dog was ripping.
To me, it's surprising that in qualifying, it's kind of surprisingly tough sometimes to get a lap in. You know, like at Daytona for me in qualifying, I rode pretty well, but every time I would come to one of the stadium triples out of the corner, there was a couple guys rolling on each side, and for me, I was like, ooh, I backed out of it, and so that's been a little bit of a surprise, I would say, is just it's not easy to go out there and just lay down a lap. I think almost for me, I feel better whenever we're doing the moto, when we're dropping the gate and everybody's kind of together and going. That's kind of been a little bit of a surprise for me. I kind of figured, I'd be able to go out and pretty easily tie together a few laps that are fast and then kind of, go on about the day. But that for me has been a little bit difficult.
It's challenging. I've come to realize that's been a weakness of mine as well. But the other riders, generally speaking, don't have the gate drop mindset. When you're on the gate and there's a gate drop, everybody there has a gate drop mindset. So I feel like it's easy to elevate yourself.
Yes.
You can feed off the intensity of the other riders.
Yep.
In practice, like you mentioned, it's very easily. Sometimes you're tripling through rhythms and there's a guy rolling on your right, a guy rolling on your left, and you got to weave through them. And,
and you only get a few. You don't get a bunch of laps. You know, so
you only get 8 laps.
Yeah,
like
you're kind of like, even if you miss something, you kind of learn the hard way. You really don't want to.
You don't want to give up a lap.
Yeah, you don't want to ease up. You know, you need.
You got to finish them.
Yeah, continue to finish them because if like that board, the time it goes quick. It really does.
Well, so one more question here. What's you don't have to answer, but who would you say, on the Tylube Racing organization, who's your favorite teammate?
Who's my favorite teammate?
Or none?
Yeah. Man, I like everybody on the team. Like, for me, this is my first year working with everybody, and man, Trevor, unfortunately, he's missed the last couple of rounds. He had a small injury before Dallas, but he really surprised me at round 1. Just like a lot of natural talent and really just skilled on the motorcycle. He surprised me. He went out in qualifying and laid down some really fast laps, and also Luca had a really good Detroit also. And so those two guys, I would say Trevor surprised me a little more than Henry and Luca, just because I've never met Trevor until this year, and he's a pretty young kid, and he's got a lot of skill, a lot of talent. Luca, I've ridden with Luca now for a couple of years when I would go and ride at MTF with those guys for a couple of weeks and during the off season, and so I've kind of gotten to know Luca over the years. And then obviously Henry, today it was just you and I, but I mean during the week it's pretty much you, me, Henry, and Mitchell at least every week, and so yeah, I feel like Henry's helped for sure with me because he's kind of he's a good benchmark. It's obviously we're competitive. Like everybody wants to be. You want to be the better teammate and stuff like that. But in the position I'm in, I'm really willing and I'm willing to set my ego aside and try to learn. From you, from Henry, from Mitchell, and Henry. He has helped me a lot just by riding with him, seeing the pace, seeing the differences, because he's obviously leading the team right now in points. I think he's like sitting 10th in the points, 9th, 10th, something like that in points. And so that's for a privateer team, that's really good. So I wouldn't say like I have really any favorites. I really like everybody on the team. Everybody I feel gels together pretty well. And Henry is, I've gotta be real. Henry's leading us. He really is.
So Henry Miller is your favorite teammate, folks. He's the premier teammate at Tylube Honda. Wouldn't have guessed it. Wouldn't have guessed it. Right? So if your training partners would say, I need 2 questions here. Who's got the biggest ego and who gets in their feelings the most?
Oh, man. Out of the training group? Man. I don't know. I feel like the 4 of us, I feel like we're pretty good about everything.
You can go ahead and throw Cartwright in there too. When he doesn't have a girlfriend, he's at the practice track with us.
Yeah, for sure. And man, it's hard to say because I feel like within the group we ride with, I mean, we pretty much do every moto together, it's hard to say. I mean, I will say, I get disappointed sometimes at the practice, not disappointed, but sometimes I'm at the practice track and I'm like,
you a little puffy.
Yeah, I'm a little puffy. I'm just like, man, what do I, I just want to take the step forward. And if it was easy, I would have, been doing it. But there's some days at the practice track where, where Mitchell, for example, is doing things and his laps and stuff. I'm just, it kind of, sometimes he blows me away. I'm like, man, he's not really doing anything flashy, but man, he's going fast. It looks easy. And then when I'm out there, I'm like, man, this is a tough section. This is a tough corner. I'm making a mistake every couple laps in this section, and so, but that's hard to say. I mean, who would you say? Let's reverse the question back onto you. I think.
Man, I got to remind myself what the question was here. Say biggest ego and who gets in their feelings the most. Man, I'm gonna say definitely Cartwright. You can get him in his feelings a little bit, but it's just because he's a good guy.
He's a good guy. He is. That's funny. No.
But a lot of I can pretty much say anything to you, and you'll take it with a grain of salt.
I feel like the practice group we have is it's really good. You know, like this week it was you, me, and Henry and Mitch, and we did every single moto together. Pushed each other, started close. You know, made you pass me, and that's for me. Like that's good stuff. Like racing like that. It's hard. It's not something, and I don't feel like it's always been like that. I feel like for you and I, it has been like that for a long time. Where when we go to the practice track, I mean, it's egos aside, and you know, have at it, battle each other, and you know, and so I feel like for you and I, it's kind of been the same for a long time.
It's been hard to find some training partners until as of recent.
Yeah, I feel like the last like couple of years, you know, it's been pretty good with the guys. You know, I feel like Henry this year is better than he's been the last couple on not just his riding and stuff, but riding with everybody,
being a team player, trying to
for sure, and not that he wasn't before, but I can tell this year he's taken a step forward in that role. Like, you know,
I've always felt too like if the you know, that's the difference in a lot of these factory teams is they're forced to ride together.
Yeah,
not all of them, but like Star forced to ride together, push each other whether they want to or not. And then it's easy for a lot of these privateers to just kind of go, well, I don't want to do that, I don't want to have that pressure. So I feel like that's something I've been looking for a long time, is guys that you know, if there's 6 of us, if there's you and Mitch and me, and somebody gets better and elevates, then it all was worthwhile. But like, you got to have the push and the pull.
Yeah, no, and I feel like I think
everybody's gotten a little better. I know I have in the past few weeks.
No, for sure. I feel like even this is the beginning of the off season, like from then to now, you know, I feel like, honestly, every one of us has taken step forwards. I really feel like everybody's made some progress and like gotten a little better, and that's like, it's kind of the name of the game. If you can just go and keep, you know, making little improvements and getting a little better, it's almost like you take a step forward and then kind of, you know, get your base down again, and then take another step. And you know, some days it's like, oh, I wish I could drop this much time. But it with the group, I feel like we've all really elevated each other. I mean, definitely.
Well, everybody's rides different, bikes different. Everybody has a strong suit of weakness, and just being open to help people. You know, there's days where I'm like can't figure something out, and I look at certain guys and maybe ask questions, and that makes all the difference in little information here and there. And there's other days where I'd say rare, but like myself or somebody else can offer some information, and
we're pretty much like going back from every day, just like today, like I'll go back and all the videos we got from today, I'll watch every one of them from me, and I'll watch every one of them from you. And then like whenever we've got the group together, like Kent's getting videos of everybody, and so it's like, you can really the days after we ride, and we like, at least for me, and I know you too, like, I mean, I can watch everybody and kind of see some different things. Like, we definitely, there's some different styles and stuff like that, and little different bike setups, but it's kind of a game of inches, game of just like little things, and when sometimes like seeing it makes such a big difference. You know, seeing stuff.
I would say, you know, 10 years ago, Texas had a really good crop of riders with Lemoyne and Cunningham and Wharton, that whole era. And it really drizzled off where I was riding by myself a lot, say 5 years ago, and I feel like now Texas is a hotbed. Like, people that don't live here are talking about, man, Texas has a really good group of guys right now, so I think it's a really great place to train. We got multiple tracks.
For sure. For sure.
So what was that? So out of everybody you ride with here in Texas, who's you know, let's break it down a little bit. You know, who's got the goofiest style?
Goofiest style?
Or who's got the most unique style? I don't want to say goofy, but like...
Let's forget he said goofy. Who's got the most unique style?
Yeah.
Man, Josh Cartwright is sneaky fast.
Sneaky fast. That's a good way to put it.
Sneaky fast. Yeah, no. Like
you put him on a clock and you're like, dang.
You watch him ride and you're, oh, he's riding good, you know? And then, you got there with him. You're like, man, Josh rolling pretty good.
Dang, Josh putting it down.
Yeah, no. So I would have to say Josh.
Well, who's closest to relate to your style?
To my style? Oh, man. It's hard to say, because I feel like your form and your technique is so, just your form and technique is, I wouldn't say better, but you're more like, your fundamentals, I would say, are a little better. And Mitch has got the big elbows, and it's hard to say. I mean, who would you say? I don't ever see myself ride. I see the videos, and just like today, I mean,
whose technique is most closely related to mine? You know, there's things I do when I watch myself, I just go, God, that's ugly. But, You know, I think a lot of what I do is based on my stature, height, strength, etc. But yeah, I don't know. Henry definitely rides different. I don't know. It's definitely not you. I would say I don't even think Mitch, but I learn a lot from Mitchell.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
I think.
Alex Martin.
Yeah, Alex. He's not down here, unfortunately. He's down here in spirit.
Yeah. See, to me, you look like, and obviously we don't ride with him, and don't let this take you too awful far. But to me, when I watch you ride, you look kind of like a Justin Brayton. You know, like you're real strong. You know, you're not really doing anything extra, but you're in control. You're big with your upper body. Your head's forward. Your legs are back.
Yeah.
You know, like that's
we're probably same height.
Yeah. You guys to me look like, and just watching videos, like
we both have great eyebrows.
Yeah, great eyebrows, and
we do.
Yeah. So I would say you probably kind of look more, kind of like him. I would say, like it's tough because we have there's between the riding group, there's definitely some different styles. Like Henry's real good about getting the leg straight, getting the butt back.
His greatest attribute, I think, is his whoops. He's really smooth everywhere else.
Yeah.
But I'd say you two ride more alike than anybody, even though you don't look necessarily the same. But the way y'all tuck your arms in, Henry really likes to keep his upper body real tight.
Yeah.
Really stands off his pegs real good with his legs and uses his lower body. And you tend to always kind of just be real relaxed with the upper body, where me and Mitch, I feel like, have more of a utilization, like we lever the bike more.
Yeah, for sure. No, I would agree with that. I definitely.
And Josh is just a unicorn.
Yeah, Josh is like, hey, sneaky quick.
Sneaky fast.
Yeah, sneaky fast. That's practice track. And I feel like Grant Harlan, too, has got a relaxed look to him.
He's elbows in. I know he's got some shoulder issues, too, but he's elbows in. And
very relaxed on the bike. And I feel like, it doesn't, when I'm riding, I don't feel relaxed. But I
don't either. I watch everybody else ride, and I think I think, man, I feel like I'm on the edge and squirrely in a lot of areas.
Yeah.
That I don't see. But
I can, and so, but my style is definitely, I feel like I've kind of been the same over the years. Like I've definitely gotten a little better at a few things, and just like with control-wise, but.
Are you a better rider today than you were 3 years ago?
For sure, yeah, no doubt, for sure.
Are you more prepared for Indianapolis this weekend after today?
Oh, for sure. Riding the tight track, we were at the short ranch, the tight track, and we did kind of a Triple Crown format.
Dang.
And no, I felt pretty good today. The corners were tight and they were rutted, and that was something I wanted to get some practice in with. I wanted to practice some of the tight feel, the tight 90s, and so I feel like today I was able to have a good day, on a tight track. On a tight track, that's like, I would say in Birmingham it caught me off guard, but it was a tight track.
It was
steep turns,
a lot of turns.
Working
angles.
Yeah, and so for me, I felt like I got some of that practice today, and then even like you and I, you caught me, and I wasn't gonna let you around me. I was gonna try to battle with you, and so like that was good for me because it elevated me a little bit. It pushed me a little bit in some of the areas where maybe I was being a little relaxed.
So leading back into some racing, obviously in the last podcast we talked a little bit about your years leading up to this and your experience and some of the struggles. You made it in that first main event. You made it in another main event, so you're becoming a main event guy. How did that feel to finally like almost solidify to yourself that, man, I can do this. All the hard work's paying off. What in that moment, crossing the checkered flag, where were you at?
I mean, it was super, super special for me. Making the main in Dallas through the heat race, like when I crossed the finish line, I knew what place I was in, and it's excuse me, it's hard to put into words. Like, the years leading up to this has been such a roller coaster for myself, and it's been super difficult. And when I made that first main at Dallas, it felt like just a big weight off my shoulders, to be honest with you. It was incredible, kind of just like, maybe not hard to put into words. I came back, and obviously Sarah and my brother were there, and like they have seen, every single up and down the last 5 years for me, and they've lived through it with me and seen me struggle through it. And so for me, it was special to share that with them, and be able to come back and hug them and it's just proved to myself, like showed myself that I belong there, and this is what I want to do. I want to race, and I want to be in these main events, and I continue to establish myself. And this sport has been something for me. It's a sport, but for me it is my personality. It's made me who I am. The highs and the lows. And so, to make the main in Dallas, it was incredible. And then to turn around and to make it happen in Birmingham through the heat race again, I feel like I'm kind of like putting my flag down and where I can march forward, keep marching forward. And so it was super special.
Yeah, it's definitely not a stretch of the imagination. I think everybody's watched you ride knows you belong in there without stretching your limit. That should be just a regular thing. So that's probably, I could see that, finally getting that, crossing that achievement, and then really probably too going, man, I wasn't like having to push myself beyond my means. Like this was this is where I should have been, this is where I am, and I'm here to do it week in and week out.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Like that's exactly right. Like I feel like the last couple of years I've been pretty good, been pretty fast and pretty solid rider, but the sport can be pretty ruthless, and like you kind of dealt with the same, in a way, kind of the same thing the last like couple of years with a few injuries that just bad timing. Like I remember a couple of years ago, but during the off season you had a hard time just being able to get some laps in because of some small injuries, and then even this year you're kind of you ended up leaving Texas and going to California for a bit, and that was like a whole nother I didn't see you for basically December, January. And you went to California and got on a new motorcycle that nobody's ridden, that you haven't ridden, and definitely, had some struggles, I'm sure, along the way with that. And so, how does it feel for you to, the last couple weekends? I mean, you put made it happen in Daytona with some passing, and Birmingham. Pulled the whole shot, and I felt like when we rode with you here in December before you ended up leaving.
Had one day.
You pretty much beat us into the ground. And then we didn't see you for a couple months. And then so to see you, at least for me, I didn't get to see it at Daytona, but I knew you'd made it happen. And then, but I watched at Birmingham, and you really looked like yourself. You looked like how, like you looked good. And so it was, for me, exciting to see. I know for you, that was awesome to see, really, No,
I appreciate that. But yeah, that's it's cool because sometimes you put a lot of effort, a lot of focus, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into something, and then you kind of wonder, like, is it for nothing? And then I've learned, it's never for nothing. Yeah. Something's always going to come good around it, and luckily we had some good results, and I've learned a lot of cool lessons aside from racing along the way, and got to meet some cool people. So, but no, man, that's racing's crazy. Stuff happens, but I feel like it builds a lot of character in individuals, and so that's why we're here talking with everybody about our experiences. And thank you guys for tuning in. I know none of this could be possible, this podcast and everything, without Lightning Rod, a Throttle Burst product, a little energy shot. These things are the bee's knees. Mm-hmm. So,
well, thank you, these guys.
Healthy,
thank you, Daniel.
Healthy product, unlike your other energy shots and stuff, but. So yeah, we're gonna wrap this up here, and we got on your way out. Check out the link below. Visit throttleburst.com, shopjohnshort.com. Check out my merchandise, and go to throttleburst.com. Check out Ryder Floyd's merchandise, and watch us this weekend here in Indianapolis.